chair, and co-chair, Commissioner Sharon Henderson, along with the city manager Watson and deputy city clerk Lisa Osler. We also have director of public safety and deputy public safety director in the audience. First item on the agenda is the metric report.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. This summertime, there's a lot going on, but I'll email this to you. Yeah, no, it's not. No, the screens aren't down. So we're going to have to take my word for it. Apparently. Clerk is. All right. So on the police side, this is what we took. 733 calls for service in June. Made 61 arrests, 15 adult, 3 juvenile. Again, so you have this. We can see it. Issued 35 citations. Again, we continue the war on illegal dumping. We actually contract, and we talked about this. We contracted 2 companies to gather up junk. So they are handling some fast act calls. I don't need it now. So you may have noticed, areas opened up, Rob Street was the first thing we attacked, was really obvious, horrible junk. One of the things that, and I don't have a map, we did to be more efficient with code compliance, we decided to divide the city up into sectors and quadrants. So we know, for example, code compliance will be working in 4.1, 4.2, which actually is the north side. So anyway, we started picking up collective trash, and we talked about, because of the volume of it, it's going to be probably a little hefty on the front end. If you have anything, we see the bill is, that's probably what it is. You can ask myself, the city manager. They've gone out diligently to start picking up stuff. We're hitting alleys. We have one that's on the south side, and one that's been working on the north side. If you go by where Tire Heaven is, remember it was all the trash and junk and then the tires. Now it's trash is picked up, now we get the tires. So that's going well. Again, there's going to be a cost to it, but we'll see it level out where at some point, hopefully, we won't have to pay for it at all. As you know, we've put up in areas of the city stealth cameras to try to catch people in act. We did catch a person. The images come right to my phone. I get on with the shift supervisor, let them know. Person we end up catching actually around the corner, we got some leads and stuff. So that is been successful. I'd like to maybe deploy some more. I think we got them at a pretty good cost. We got a discounted rate, so we're posted online, not the same amount that we paid for. So we'll talk about that tomorrow with the city manager, about maybe 4 more of those. We're looking at having a second tire collection day. As you know, the first one was pretty successful. One day we got over 1,500 tires. We're looking to get a couple more trailers covered through the grant, so it won't really cost the city to go through 50 spots. Remember, we didn't penetrate Empire. So 1,500 was from the north down to Catalpa, basically. So that going on. You may have heard issues, 100,000 block of Ogden, young people, not so much juveniles, but young people, music, hanging out in the abandoned house, actually hanging out in front of people's houses, using their hoses to water, to wash your cars. So we have been increasing our presence there. Some other strategies we want to use, hold people accountable, especially for the rental houses, to hold their rentals accountable. So we'll keep you posted on that. Again, that has been an issue that we've gotten consistently, and we've got some things stacked on. Tip 411 is launched pretty good. We've got some tips in. People are sending in tips. They've attached pictures to some of them. The ones that are related to drugs, we sent off to the drug team, and we're going to continue to push that deal. So that's been successful. We had a complaint in Commissioner Isel's area about some speeding, so we set a car up there and ran some radar. Unfortunately, we didn't get anybody, but it seems to be working. So very pleased with that. And that's that for the police side. Fire side, our calls for service are getting way down. 38 calls for service in June, which is unconscionable because that's about 2 days years ago. Much other stuff you read. So stats, you got those. You have any questions on those? You can ask.
How many structure fires did you have in June?
I don't. You don't have any. Not structure fires, some cars.
One, no, that was July. No, just cars. Cars and dumpsters.
Yeah. Oh, remind me, I got that. Add that to personnel.
In July, and there was a garage fire or something around.
Yeah, 800 block of Levette a couple mornings ago.
Okay.
So yeah, those are way down. Statistically, budget-wise, we came in again for the 6 year row under budget, so I'm pleased with that. A little tighter this year. So the expenditure report that you'll see, recall that's just expenditures. There's things in there that we raise money through grants that are paid for, but for our purposes, to make sure that we are being disciplined and conservative, we don't even look at that. So we don't say, yeah, well, we raised $500,000 for the fire truck, we raised $20,000. It is what it is. So with that being said, although we raised money to offset some of our purchases, we are still 11% under budget for 2018, 2019. So that's 6 years in a row since I've had the reins. Co-compliance is way under budget because they were understaffed, which I'll talk about in a second. No, co-compliance department now finally are close to being full staffed. As you know, we had Darlene, who we promoted to the supervisor there, and we got Maurice, and we added a part-time person. We still need an office person, but as far as the actual enforcement, we are up to where we want to be, and actually I think they've been doing a pretty good job. As we work to reorganize the department, get people in place, I think I can see to be a difference of, cleanliness and grass. In the report for code compliance they issued, I want to be clear because I think we confuse citations with warnings. We actually write very, very few citations, but it is, well, if we post a warning or contact you, it's simply just, hey, go ahead and cut your grass or clean up your yard or whatever. So those postings are not actions, they're not citations, not going to court, there's no date. So we gotta make sure that, from our perspective, we're using the right language so people realize somebody gets posted. If they clean it up, that's done. So code compliance, our goal is to get people to comply. We're not trying to make money off the backs of the people by fines. So I'll be clear on that. So we had 116 postings for grass in June, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 for junk. I think here. Yeah, 116 postings for grass, 27 for junk, and 2 for rental cars. And we got compliance, according to Darlene, in all of them.
And all 116.
Yep. Yep, yes, sir.
So we didn't have to do any
No tickets.
forced abatements.
There are abatements. I'm not sure of the number of those. I'll make sure that and that we separate those out. I'll make sure that those are specifically listed in the report moving forward.
I have a question, Chief. You said 2 things. So you said, what days is the garbage, or not garbage, but the guys picking up all of the tires and stuff like that? And you said we're reorganizing the department. What exactly does that mean?
All right, so with all the changeover, never having a lot of consistency over the time that I've kind of been around.
And what specifically?
Kind of administration processes. There's things that we do, and we actually do decently, but we don't have it in writing. Well, you know me, if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. So if you were to come and say, what is your policy on, say, posting grass? We have one. I don't think it's necessarily right. So it's those type of things. What is the process for getting electric permit? Is that in writing? It's a process for getting permit to build a deck. I don't know. Is that in writing? Those are the things that we're talking about, kind of real fixing. Additionally, getting people trained and in place. For a long time, people weren't receiving training to do what we do. So we've got training going on. And ultimately, when it gets to the point where we're self-sufficient, we have code compliance, which is separate from actually the building official side. We got our people trained on the building official side, so we don't have issues, and we will be one functioning department that has regulations, procedures that can be seen online, whatever. So, you know, that's kind of important. I think as far as the strategy, as far as going out and what we do, where we're doing that, how we're doing it, you know, we would kind of go out, kind of chasing fires, because, you know, the city is kind of that. So, you know, now we're saying, you know, Maurice might be assigned to section, you know, 2-3 and 2-4 for the week. Well, we know exactly where that is. You know, that's in the second ward, because they're divided by wards on that side. So if we need to make reference to it or know what's going on, we know that this is specifically the area that he has. So that hope that answers some of your
So
questions.
really, your systems and processes, you guys are.
Absolutely.
On that.
You know, the process is died, so we get it.
Madam Clerk, could you let the record show that committee member Carter was here?
And my other question, what days is he out picking up debris and tires?
Which one, the collectors?
Yes, the collectors.
It varies. They're assigned sections. So
Quadrant center.
yeah. So here's how we do it. Code compliance are out. If they see something, we have a list that they'll put. You know, if there's an address, to put an address. If there's an alley or location, for example, 600 block of Wakanda between Wakanda and Madison, or behind 630, whatever. You get that list, and we have it where it's sortable. So it'll sort, you know, 41, 42, 23, 24, whatever, and we'll assign them. So you'll go and we'll assign, for example, for Fast Act, they got Ward 4, and they work it hitting alleys and spots that we put on the list to collect them. What makes it sometimes difficult is that stuff's been there for a long time. Some of it's waterlogged, so it takes them a minute to get through. Some stuff now, as you see, you look down an alley, you can't even see from one end of the street to the other because it's so overgrown. So they fight through all that and go kind of inch by inch and get what they can get. That way in their sector. So if you ever see them out, if you ask me, hey, who's in the north side? Well, that's Fast Act, or that's Hadley. They're working in 401 today.
So my other question in regards to this.
You jumped into the mic.
Oh, sorry, Commissioner. Yeah. So my other question, follow-up question to that is, so if they're doing that, because you said it's to a Fast Act and Hadley and Son. So is Public Works actually involved in this as well?
The whole goal is to get them out of that, because they got.
I know, but I'm asking, my question is.
Are they? No. Yeah, we wanted to alleviate some stress on them. Do what they have to do,
So they're not having to pick up debris and going into alleyways and all of that kind of stuff. Because that's not what the hope is.
They are still doing it because the volume of what's out there, it still negates that. I mean, it still dictates that they should go out there as well. So you got two fronts attacking kind of the bigger problem. So yeah, Public Works does do alleys, Public Works does do debris, Public Works does stuff as well as what they do at the same time.
So on top of filling potholes and all of that stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, because we talked about this before, hiring part-time people to actually help with that instead of pulling Public Works to actually do those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about your report, but this is.
We have part-time people as well.
Hiring more part-time people to keep from pulling them from actually doing that kind of work.
Yep.
So how many part-time people have we added to actually help?
We've got 3 additional part-time people.
When did they start?
They've been working for the city. We're adding more, but that, as it sits right now, there are 3 additional part-time people in Public Works as well as in the water department. We're trying to fill spots because some of the people that have started as part-time people have gone to full-time, and some of them have just left.
So we get back on track here, yeah, we'll bring that up in the next item there. Okay, you finished it. Lecture.
Okay, is that you?
Yes, that is, thank you.
Closer? All right.
Thank you.
Personnel wise, I talk about code compliance. We hired, one that actually, he's a part-time person. Of course, we got Darlene, we got Maurice, who actually has become a certified fire investigator. And he's actually the only one on our side that's the state clerk. So we have somebody, the fire investigator position is very important, and usually we have a fire that was suspected arson, we call the state, and he comes from Lansing, he goes over to the state, so now we have our own, and he's actually about to go to fire investigator 2 school, so that's kind of significant. We have literally the only one on this side of the state of Michigan, so that's a huge accomplishment for Maurice, and we're happy about that.
So we gotta track them out.
Huh?
Contract them out.
Oh, yeah, no, we talked about that, absolutely. Absolutely. So we got John, Maurice, Darlene, we're gonna be taking Eddie Ellis from the water department, when, his job goes in, the water meter changeover, so that will give us really 3.5, at 3 full-time plus part-time, gives us full staff to get out there and do the work. Again, I think you can see the difference just recently, from having a full staff out there, so we have that. Sergeant Takamoto had submitted his letter, he calls it retirement, but it's not. So he's gonna be leaving, actually he's pretty much gone now. Our cadet is doing very well in his FTO, the young man that you met. Hey. Whoa. We, in anticipation of Takamoto leaving, we need to make a hire for the person on the academy. He came, he's going straight to the fire school, he's in fire school now. He'll get done, I think, on August 5th or 6th, then he'll get into his FTO. So basically at this point, we actually are full staffed. There's only a couple more trainings we need to do to get everybody fully cross-trained PSO. So we are seconds away, which I never thought I would ever see, ever. So that's good. That's that. And of course, you met the other cadets. You haven't met Officer Wright, because fire school is 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. So they have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So as soon as he's free, we'll get him in here soon before it's going to meet him. So I think he fits. He's a young guy, but he's got some good skills. Training, we've had a ton of it. Ton in the fire department, apparatus training, driver's training. And I forgot to mention, let's do this. So we had a promotional process. Again, we had one sergeant that was leaving, and Steve Bobo successfully got through the project process. Did a very good job. He's been promoted to Sergeant Bobo, and I know you've known him for a long time. He's a guy that I'm extremely proud. He's been here, really born and raised, high school, still lives in the city. He has a heart for the city. Bobo is the type of person who thinks organizationally, he doesn't think individually. He's always thinking about how to make the department and the city better, which is exactly what we want. So if he's not busy, we'll have him come and you know, meet him and see him. So very pleased with that. Additionally, all the employees that currently work in code compliance are actually city residents, born and raised, live here currently. So we're happy with that. Training, we've sent guys to much training, leadership stuff. We had a detective Shepard took the place of Kelly because she went back to the road. She's now acting OIC the shift.
What's the OIC?
Officer in charge. Public outreach, as you know, we've participated in the Peace Walk, which we glad to do, in addition to Juneteenth, which is a tremendous event, and we hope to partnership with them and do those every single year, having our public safety department as a co-sponsor, whatever, for those events that are highlight our city. So we're very happy about that. Equipment, we got new stuff that we got grants for, fingerprint reader, the dictation software that is now being deployed, try to be more efficient. lastly, we haven't heard anything back yet on our grant request to FEMA. Still in the process as far as we know, and we're still waiting to hear on what the process, the steps of that is. And that is for the most part it. This is an email out to you so you have it. If you have any questions.
One last question back on the compliance. Now for the people who need to, when they set the garbage out and have the extra stuff, has the right communications, because some of them are still confused as to, do they call City Hall, do they call the garbage company, tells them to call somebody else. So is there anything in writing or procedure that everybody can just follow?
It's not in writing. If somebody puts out something additional, then they're supposed to contact the trash company. If you're telling them to call the city, then that's for y'all to work out.
Okay, now, if I guess if they set something out and call the contractor and nobody pick it up, do they leave, say if code compliance come by, do they leave some type of,
I don't know if we've dealt with that at the Ashtar. What should happen is we have, if the person puts it out, there's a house on Highland, it's the very thing. It's old broken down bed and some stuff put on the front lawn. It's been there for like at least a couple of weeks. They need to call and have it paid for. The thing is, we got to kind of change our citizens' mindset of public works can't come and rescue all the time.
no, I think they're just looking for the right way to get rid of it, because it's still,
But if we say you're supposed to call and pay the $5, $10 to have it taken away, and they call the trash company.
that's where the breakdowns come from, the trash company, so that's something that have to be dealt with.
I guess we can try to have notices, but I mean, if we sell them to where it's supposed to go, and we're supposed to go send them back to us.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna call Nietzsche and say, hey,
No, they shouldn't.
yeah, they got their work to do. And I get it. I pay to get my stuff taken away,
So,
and maybe they understand,
Yeah.
but we gotta do better.
or somebody say, hey, this has been, if they say, hey, I called the trash company, they didn't get it, then, I think before they really get stuck with it, I don't know what it costs once they get it up on the curb, a couple $100. I don't know, what is the charge?
The charges on the books right now is $200 a truckload, minimum of $100 charge.
Okay.
That includes the time it takes for them to do it, but they're not getting done because they gotta go get somebody's trash and then call. So I'm trying to avoid that. I know.
I just think that a better system got to be worked out, but that's something for us to do, so.
I have one last question, Chief. You talked about a list that's generated when Fast Act and Hadley and Sons are going out. How is the list generated, and who generates that list to know where to send them to actually go pick up stuff that's in an alleyway or whatever?
The code compliance officers, when they're out in their sectors working, they can be headed to do a housing inspection, but drive by the yard or see an alley and see what's couches and sofas and concrete. So they'll make a note and actually have a spreadsheet that we all share, that I see, and I sort it, and so we know. All right, I'm not going to send the contractors from the area and we got one item or one pile there versus south side alleys. For example, we also keep a separate list for tires because tires have to be collected separately. So we have the tire list, which we'll hit when we get the tire trailers. And you got the thing that they're doing to document where we've seen. We've all been in the city, you drive past something, you want to go back and see it, and you can't remember exactly where it was. Because on the way you hit 8 other trash piles. So you might have saw in the 700 block of Vaughn, you might end up in the 10 or 100 block of Monroe and see stuff in between. So.
Any questions from the audience with the reference to metric report?
No.
Commissioner Henry?
Thank you, Chair. I just keep hearing myself, kick the can down the road, asking for the same information over and over and over. And so I'm gonna ask through the chair that you ask the chief of compliance to supply this information for us as his employee, asked for it over 2-3 months ago for the new inspector. I'd like to see his contract and his resume.
Or you doing the contracted, building official?
Building official.
Okay.
So I'm asking through the chair to ask chief to, provide that to us. I know the city manager said he would do it, but he don't have time, he got more hats on in his head than we got a car delivered here, so.
Can that be, they come through the,
I just talked to the clerk.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, what?
She's going.
We'll get it to you.
Okay. We'll get that tomorrow.
Through the chair, can you tell me if it's gonna be a time limit? Cause I asked for it
She said
3
tomorrow.
months ago.
I'm gonna hand deliver to your house.
No, don't deliver it to my house. Please,
Okay.
give it to the full body.
Yes, we'll email to you.
Oh, your house.
Can I read your email now?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
It's coming tomorrow.
All right. Also, we asked that we get a letter to go out to the citizens about the trash. That hasn't happened since 2018, so we need another letter to go out to the citizens, give them the rules again. Sometimes you forget. I don't know what's going on with your complaints, but I'm hearing different complaints. But we, as a municipality, should tell our citizens what the deal is, over and over and over until they understand. You remember when they was doing Harbor Shores? They put it on Channel 98 and played it for 3.5 months, every day, the same thing, till we believe it. We can do the same thing with our trash. Put the information out so the citizens can hear, can read it, they can put it on there.
That sounds like a good idea. That should
Hey,
be something that
put-
with
you
the,
can Post it
communications
somewhere
committee.
for them.
With the tire list as well, for citizens to actually report things, is that the little green, door knocker? Did they use, information on, so they saw, one of the citizens saw trash someplace or in the alley, is there a way for them to report that information?
Yeah, they can call, those cars, there's a number on that, that's a tablet. Also, if they get our app, they can send it that way.
What little cards?
Don't nobody
The
know.
little door knocker, it would be good, we could send those out to everybody. Those
Where the
little
little
door
cards at?
knockers. Those door knockers, yeah.
Where the little door knockers at?
Do you have a sample of that?
I
Because
think so.
everybody has not seen those.
I didn't get one.
I didn't get one. That's a good one.
Can we see about getting those passed out?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's it. Thank you.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
They never changed the.
First off,
spots.
we talking about the trash, they don't even pick up the same number of bags that they used to, and the residents don't know that. If it don't fit in the trash can, then they don't pick it up. And as far as the inspector, a dude came over almost a year ago, cut down his garage, the stuff still sitting there, right beside my house. Hell, the cats that was in the garage is under my house, and I want the city to come and get them because they never took this man for tearing down the garage. And the trash is still sitting there. Since y'all all be on the north side, we on Colfax, we need some assistance too.
Have a complaint been made?
Yeah, I have, not a complaint, that's a concern.
Right.
And I'd like to know how this working with the residents now, because when do we speak? Because my concerns is the chief of police and what's happening in the city of Benton.
We'll have a time.
What?
Yeah, we'll have, after we get the agenda item, because that's not on the agenda right now, but as soon as we, the last one on the agenda,
Right,
then we'll have you can address something like that.
right.
Okay.
Please.
No.
There you go. That's who I need to talk to.
This is, deputy chief, right?
I asked
Alright, okay.
And he knows.
Yeah.
Go down.
No.
Point of order.
Why don't you follow him up? Just-
Okay.
One was for who?
Yes,
This is a point of order. This is the quorum for a meeting. I understand people are upset, but there is a point of order. And as
Yeah, we're gonna go by the agenda, so there's a place after that. So next item on the agenda is, with the, public works, discussing public works. You asked that be on.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
did. Yeah,
Jerry,
go ahead.
We got to move to.
How you doing?
Okay.
I'm not here to disrespect anybody or piss anybody off, but I'm just here to say, them three guys back there behind me is the full-time public works guys. When I first started working for the city of Benton Harbor 22 years ago, we had 16 employees, 2 mechanics, 1 lead man, 1 director, and a secretary in the building. That's how many people there. The study saying public works is not what it's supposed to be, public works is not seeing what it's supposed to be. That's your public works people right there. Them the ones that plow your streets all winter long. You got 2 part-timers that works with me that plow with pickups downtown area. And you don't have a mechanic. I'm the one, as a supervisor, I'm working on the trucks, keeping the trucks running, instead of contracting them out. Supervising, contracting, doing parks, you got rid of parking services, public works end up with that. Anybody have any special cleanups, anything going on? They say that public works don't be involved in it, but as soon as it fails, public works is right there. We help the fire department, we help the city manager's office, we help all offices around here. If the roof is leaking, I'm here. If these guys are right here with me, I'm not even anybody out, but people want to say people playing cards and all that stuff at public works. They see them at 10 o'clock. They have break times. Everybody have a break time. I mean, nobody's coming, I get calls from different commissioners, I do. I got texts on my personal phone, how they saying we doing good jobs, doing this. I got special people call me and need a sign and been bent over the front of their house. They call me over there, want that done. I mean, we got all this going on. But then when you got guys that go home, have to spend lives with their families, get up every morning, get calls all time of night, and they go work at 5 guys for $12 an hour and don't have to go through the stuff they're doing. Because this is the stuff, these guys right now are struggling trying to get it. I mean, I even came to my city manager and told him, say, don't worry about giving me a raise. Make sure you give my crew a raise before you do that. That's what I came to my city manager and told him. And I told my city manager, don't hire a mechanic, let me handle some of the stuff that's going on down there, or we could get some of these guys a raise. So that's the stuff that's going on. I mean, everybody got personal vendettas with everybody in Benton Harbor. I'm not saying commissioners, I'm talking about personal people out here in the street. You turn the corner wrong, you're in a city truck, air conditioner on, or well, he just riding around. You do anything wrong, it's just a problem. So everybody here in this city of Benton Harbor, in this 4 mile square, got some kind of personal vendetta with everybody, because everybody know everybody. Everybody know what people got in their yards, in their garages, and all that stuff. People do all kinds of different things. People work extra jobs, people do everything, people do all kinds of stuff to try to survive living in the city of Benton Harbor. And people are here, some of us are here because we like to do what we like to do here. We're not here just because of a paycheck, because everybody here got enough time and enough experience to go somewhere else. But we've been here too long just to walk away from our retirements. That's the problem. But that's probably what people want us to do. I mean, but you're not gonna find no supervisor to come in and do what I do. I'm gonna tell you that now, I don't care who you go find. You can go from St. Joe to Detroit. You ain't gonna find one to work on cars, work on trucks, work on doing supervisor work, know how to do plumbing, you're not gonna find all that. You're not gonna find it. So in the same token, some of these guys back here, these 3 guys back here, that's plowing the streets, that people calling and complaining about, but you gotta think about it. 10 and 20 years ago, these same guys doing the same thing 16 people was doing. You got one commissioner up there right now who's working right there with us. And then when he was there, it was 10 and 15 there. So Now, there's a lot of complaints and a lot of things going on with the city of Benton Harbor. But the city of Benton Harbor Public Works Department is the backbone of this city. I don't care what go on. If it's a crime in there, and it's a crime, there's a lot of trash around there, they're calling Michi to say, can you come get this up? Can you get your crew to come over there and get this up? If it's somebody and just went over there and destroyed a park, parking service is gone. I'm picking up trash out of the parks. Nobody came to me and said, well, the parking service is gone. You gotta do this extra task. I don't have extra. Then you got people calling about potholes. You got people calling about dirty alleys. You got people calling about trash in alleys. You got people calling about trash in front of their house. That's the stuff I have to go do all day long to go find out if it's our problem or is it their problem. But these same guys got the same thing to do. I call these guys 5, 6 times, 10 to 20 times a day. They probably get tired of me calling them because they can't never just do a job.
So, sound like to me you got more work than personnel.
It's been like that. It's been like that since the first state guy got here.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, we everybody here got internet. We watch the YouTube videos and stuff about these commission boards and all this stuff. And some of the same people that's talking about us be calling me. That's what be irritating me the most. They be the ones that call me and asking me for stuff. Can you do this? Can you do that? That's wrong. I'm not trying to make it all on me, but I'm talking about these 3 guys back here. Because these 3 guys needs a raise. They need a raise to be helped. When you're talking about, people don't like the situation, but when you walking up to a restaurant and you can lay in your bed and wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and go to work, and you don't have to worry about nobody calling you at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, just because a tree fell in the middle of Main Street, or it's a water leak in the middle of Pipestone. It's be a lot of things going on that people don't understand. And the thing is, I don't know, I might be wrong, might not be saying everything the right way.
You're right.
But the thing is, that's what's going on. And all these people, it's people here, I got people that got other things going on here. They got personal vendettas with me because they were doing something wrong. I didn't let them do it. So if I'm going to do the shit right, I'm going to do the shit all the way around. No cutting corners for everybody. If I tell you, you got to pick your trash up, that means Rob got to pick his trash up. So that's what's going on. But as long as when you stop doing that for a person, that's when Public Works, somebody gets the problem and say, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. They're not doing what they need to be doing. This is the crew. I can put one over here riding in the truck. I can put one on the north side, the south side, east side, and we all 4 of us ride around together and y'all can see us. But we won't get nothing done. The problem is I got people in the parks, the whole park right down there. 2 weeks ago, had over 100 bags down there and called Public Works to come pick them up. So if I would have picked them up, somebody had an event down there that following week or following day, the first day, Public Works ain't doing nothing. But bags of leaves, trash, everything. But it was somebody doing special cleanups. So what I'm saying is, anybody here, I don't care who it is, the police department, whoever, when it all fails, Public Works have to go do it. Have to. Because if we don't do it, the city is still looking messy.
All right, you got it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Meeks. I appreciate that. And again, I always support raises. Defender department, a lot of times, if I have questions, I'll call you directly and ask you those questions.
Right.
I ask you those questions. People on at 10 o'clock, what's going on? I called you and I asked you.
Right.
So if I do have a question, I do call and ask. I appreciate, all the things that you guys do, because I know it's a lot. So my other question is, city manager, we've asked to have part-time people, whether it's youth or whoever, to be added to that department specifically for the summertime. our public works department should not be doing parks. If we could hire you to
So,
actually come
yeah.
and do that stuff.
So the Parks Conservancy, when they went
Yeah.
default, and we started the new fiscal year, so there's gonna be four people to do just for the parks. That's what they're gonna do, because the other thing that Mr. Meeks alluded to, that he didn't say is, when there's special events on the weekends, when there are parks being used, and then you have to go and do a walkthrough, so that people get the return on their deposit, that's who goes and does it.
Not code compliance?
No.
Why is that?
Because that code compliance doesn't do that, because it is run through the Parks Department, which is under the Public Works umbrella. Now, so when you talk about these guys, and just to quickly, in 2009, we were paying the guys that are working currently with Dennis and Eddie, who have been here 17 and 15 years. We're paying them $5,000 more than we're paying them right now. The emergency managers stopped the raises, the step increases, and cut them 10%. And the holiday, and made them pay more for their insurance. We're trying to get back to that. But that, in order to make them whole, is going to take money. Because, again, they're making less money now with a heck of a lot more to do. And then the other thing is this, because they have so much time, they accumulate vacation and they can't be gone during the year. So what ends up happening is they have to take it in bunches. So you won't see public works people, because if not, they lose it. We cannot unilaterally just make a decision as it relates to public works, because they're under a union contract. So if you do for one, you got to do for all of them. You've got Patrick, who started 3 years ago, 5 years ago. Patrick's been there 5 years. Patrick can never get to the salary that they can, because the union contract, when Tony left, he stopped them from getting step increases, froze them at the 2012 rate. And it's 2019. Absolutely. So to ask people, as Mr. Meek said, when you having people who need to have a CDL, you can drive a bus for what we're paying them. You can go drive over the road for what we're paying them. And the competition around here, when a public works job comes up in St. Joe, in Stevensville, in the county, thank God these guys haven't gone anywhere, because they could. But as he said, it's not about like, I'm getting rich while I'm here. They love what they do and they love their city. That's the bottom line. Are we trying to get back to where we were? We are. Because I was looking, I told Michi the other day, we were looking at the budget from 2009. It's hurtful that what we're paying them now compared to what we were paying them then, and the level of people that we had. There was, like he said, there was 9 heavy equipment operators, 2 mechanics, a lead person, a director, a superintendent, all in public works. Now it's him and the 3 amigos. So if someone's driving the sweeper, Patrick drives the sweeper, Dennis is in the truck, that's 2 out of 3. You won't see nobody else. So you can't see them around the city, because there ain't a lot of them to go around the city, even with the part-time people that we have. So.
And the one thing about it, in the way it is right now, it's so hard when people quit. When people quit, that's the roughest thing in the world, because you got to get somebody to know this city. They start turning off water, start doing this, running the sewer truck, doing all this stuff. Me, myself, personally, I get tired of some of these calls at night. My phone rings 24/7. City phone.
Yeah.
24/7. I mean, I've been home, sitting there eating dinner or whatever. My phone rings. I got to go or find out what's going on. But it's not like we have a whole lot of people. But we are here to do our job, and we're studying. I mean, it just, when you hear it, you just like, it's worse than getting treated by a bad stepfather or a bad stepmother. That's how we get treated around here. And the problem is, nobody has, what I'm saying, nobody has our back when it comes to, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, you won out of a million that sit there and say it right beside me. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, I would appreciate if the commission board could help my guys out. Worry about me later. I'm management. Get these guys, I can't work without them. So I ain't no good. So if I can't keep no guys, what we gonna do then? Because yeah, you got people out here that come out here and say they want jobs. You get jobs, you get them to come down here every day. But when they find out what they're making, guess what they do? Gone. So I don't know. The few guys we got right now that's hanging around, I'm happy for them. You ought to be, all the commission board ought to be happy for them. Because a lot of them been gone. A lot of them been gone doing something different. I mean, when you got people at Blue Beacon ain't paying $12 hours, washing the same trucks they driving out there.
Right.
I just want to say, them guys do deserve a raise. Them guys, they do. So they've been stuck in one spot a long time. So they do deserve a raise. That's all I gotta say.
Looking at two commissions that did some,
What supported that?
but it's now fighting for it. So, from the audience, Mr. Duncan, you.
My turn, yeah, it's my turn.
Is your question for me or you need
No,
me
I
to
don't have no question for you, but I want to say something about you.
What's that?
I want to say, thank you, Superman. And thank you, Superman, too. Because I appreciate them. And it's a lot of people just backbiting, backstabbing, in position to do for them and don't. We got Jane Clark Park. Let me go somewhere else for a second. We've been asking to be able to boost up Jane Clark Park, even to the point where we could be on a commercial like Silver Beach. All I hear is Silver Beach. We can't use what we got to get what we want, and that's what Jane Clark Park should be for the citizens and for our workers. Help them out, come up with stipends for young guys what could get up off the street and do something want to, but instead, what we do is sit up and turn our nose up at each other, find fault with each other, backbite, backstab, be in a position where you could do more and don't. I mean, I ain't saying you ain't doing nothing, but I'm saying you could do more, but you don't. And Benton Harbor needs for us all to be on the same damn page. Because if we don't get on the same page, everybody's sitting back wanting to take their jobs. They're just sitting back they're just sitting back like vultures somewhere. And if y'all don't know who I'm talking about, then I can tell you. Y'all said don't call no names or nothing. Don't say nothing. But that's our problem. We don't say nothing. And on top of that, we don't do enough. But Gene Clark Park could be booming like I want to say like Silver Beach. but I ain't gonna go there. I'm talking about the West Coast, where I do know how beaches are run, Malibu and all those beaches out there, and the city makes money off of them, and they can help the citizens in a lot of different ways. Until we start getting aggressive for us instead of being aggressive for all these other people that don't give a damn about us. We could even ask them because they say they are friends. But we don't even do that. So the next thing we need to do is get with these brothers, any of them phone calls, stop answering your phone.
I can't do that.
Hey,
It's gonna cause a big problem.
I know, but they need help, and they need, Mr. Watson, they need you to help more. I know you helping, I already said that, and I don't want to get drowned out, because I'm finna get up.
No,
I just want you guys to do more for them and for the citizens of Benton Harbor, because that's what we've been crying about all the time. You're supposed to have the city of Benton Harbor, the citizens' best interest in mind at all times.
Absolutely.
That's why y'all got voted in, because you said you was gonna do it.
We support public works.
Well, I already know that, because I can see your face smiling and you saying, yeah, this time. Come on, so we gotta be more on doing what we supposed to do for the citizens and for our workers.
Any more questions, reference public works? Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir.
Could you, I don't know if this is, if we could, but that, resolution that we voted down, can we bring that back again for the next?
I most definitely will.
What resolution was that?
I most definitely will. Absolutely.
Voted down last.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why.
All right, Commissioner Henry.
No.
Thanks, Mr. Meeks, for coming.
Thank
Thank you guys too for coming.
Thank you, guys.
We've been talking about this ever since the state come in and made us, service our people with a skeleton crew. We've asked this question a lot. If Public Works is our service provider for the resident, why can't we get more employees to service us? Now that's just a question that's been asked over and over and over. Matter of fact, I do believe some of us required us to have more people in the summer, which we thought that would help Public Works. And it's not happening. So what do we do? What do we do if we know that we need to add employees to Public Works to service the people? And it doesn't happen. What can we do?
Suggestion.
Yeah, let the other side win.
You go with it. But yes, I do have a suggestion, and if Plan D and E, if Plan D didn't work, then Plan E got to work.
Okay, Mr. Meeks, I think wanted to rebut on.
Yeah, I just, on a lot of the part-time stuff that goes on with the Public Works Department, it really falls right back up under me. Okay, so what happens, I have to go back and keep checking on all these other actions that's going on. You understand what I'm saying? So what, I understand my supervisor duty, but the thing is, but the thing about it, I can't get anybody with CDL. So all I get is everybody with a regular driver license.
Right.
Every truck down there, every big truck down there that needs to be drove needs a CDL. So you're thinking about when you're trying to get somebody with a CDL driver to come down there for $12 an hour, that's not going to get it.
And
I've had people come here beg me at their front door, beg me to hire, to come in the front door. They come and start for a week till they find another job, and they gone. Then they got a CDL. And when they spent $5,000 in school, they trying to get some way to pay their money back. $12 an hour is not gonna get it. Then when they got insurance, that's gonna cost them $180, $150 every 2 weeks. They're not making any money. So what I'm saying is, we could get a whole bunch of regular drivers to drive a pickup to go from park to park, but a lot of the work that needs to be done with heavy equipment. You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
Yeah, so that's the problem with the salary. We're not gonna never get anybody with the salary over there. The man work over at St. Joe, he know everybody come over there make more than $12, $11 an hour. He's right over there, right across the bridge, less than a mile away.
We know that $12 an hour, but I could have swear, Chair, that when personnel and finance talked about this, that the heavy equipment operators at that time was making a lot more. And if the emergency manager dogged us out like that, I mean, I voted no for a reason. And I thought that we needed to balance the budget a lot better. And some of those people on that list was brand new, and we asked for information about who was in the water department, and we've never gotten an answer. See, those kind of things just rub me raw.
Commissioner, you got the list was given out Monday night.
I know, I saw the list.
Yeah, and you don't have people in water because people don't stay. You don't have, just like I was saying earlier, the problem that we have is being, number one, restricted by the contract that they're under. That's the negotiated rate of pay that the contract calls for. We have tried, and Patrick was there, I was sitting there trying to get a way to make it so we can move it, and it hasn't materialized. But I can't do it unilaterally. I have to get the agreement from AFSCME. If they weren't under contract, we could set their rate at whatever we wanted to, but we can't. And the rate so you saw a rate for ones that's been here 15 to 17 years versus one that's been here 5 years. He won't make as much as they do. He'll never make as much as they do under the current contract that we have right now.
Is there a negotiation with the contract?
We just
That was it?
We negotiated, and what we got out of that was a wage reopener. So there's a wage reopener where you just talk about money, and that was agreed between us and the union. The actual contract itself is another one that's going to be negotiated later on. The entirety of the contract, which includes job descriptions and the rate of pay that they get paid.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have to interject. So with that particular contract, I know we voted on a 2% raise in the contract, which eventually even out to a $1,700 increase.
Correct.
For the department.
Correct.
So did that affect the amount of their insurance? $180 bi-weekly is ridiculous.
No, it did.
That is ridiculous.
No.
$180 bi-weekly
I get you.
for insurance.
You're absolutely right.
$12 raise. There was not a way to increase.
That's what they pay on.
Yeah, $180 bi-weekly, if I understand.
Let me tell you.
And I don't know if we can talk about a contract like this.
No, we can talk about the rates of
that is ridiculous, number one. And I have a question. I couldn't imagine our union steward agreeing to, and I don't know this, I haven't talked with him.
Mm-hmm.
As a person under contract, I would never agree to this. And I wanted to find out, okay, a 2% increase, what that looked like. And why can't we increase heavy equipment operators? Yeah, he removed that, but why not increase that? If we know that that is a stickler or we're having a hard time, why we just can't bring that back up to the $15, $20 an hour rate? $12 is ridiculous. Why we can't bring that down to $1,500? I'm asking because I'm upset about it. The person under a contract,
and I'm with you. I'm with you.
You know, working under one for my own job.
Yeah.
This right here, this is not okay, and I have a question. I know as a commission, we don't necessarily enter into those agreements, but how can we assist in getting this done? That the whole commission can be involved in making this right, because this is ridiculous.
When we come to you with negotiations, we've negotiated an agreement is between the union, they're cool with it, and what we're cool with. We bring it to the commission to just approve what we've already done.
Yeah, I understand that we're not in the details.
He hadn't
said that, I would have known that.
When we have a wage reopener, it's strictly about money. Okay, so that's what you got. You got the recommendation of the 2% plus the holiday pay for them. Okay, now we'll go back come this fall when we open the contract back up and talk about the rest of the stuff we're talking about right now. It just wasn't at that time that we had that conversation. So it's coming. But at the same time, like they said, this is the stuff we inherited. This is not what we create, because when we did it, again, 2012 is what he froze the rates at. And the thing about, so just quickly about insurance. the challenge that you have with insurance in the insurance realm right now is that we balance between what's a large group and a small group. A large group has to have at least 50 people participate. I mean, the large group has to have 50 people participating in it. And if it doesn't, it then becomes rated based on the individuals. We teetered back between 50 and 47 and 50 for the last 7 years. And the industry is telling us, here's what the rates are. Here's what you get. We go out to market, we talk to Blue Cross Blue Shield, we talk to Blue Care Network, we talk to United Healthcare, we talk to all of them. Blue Care Network, Blue Cross Blue Shield is the best in Michigan because they have the most participants. So that's what we get for these guys. If we have more people, the rates will drop. We just don't have the numbers to drive the rates down. That's the simple fact right there.
Okay, we're gonna get back to the public safety agenda. I got two suggestions. If we could, and I don't know if it's proper for, who's the union steward?
The president or the steward?
Okay. Or the union president?
The union president is Patrick.
Okay. Come to the personnel and finance committee if Commissioner Ison would put that on his agenda and kind of give us some ideas of some of the challenges and stuff like that. So when it comes time for agreeing on contracts and stuff like that, we got some type of knowledge of what's going on, because what we really want to do is right side the ship. So if you can bring that to personnel finance committee, and then
you want the resolution brought back because that's Monday.
If you can bring the resolution back Monday out of this committee.
Okay.
Okay.
All
right. Gotta move. The next.
Can I make one statement?
Real short. Okay.
I'd like for us to see who is hired at the water department. We already see who's at the public works, but we need that information as to who's at the water plant and what their job is and how much money they're making. When I ask for something and I don't get it, that just brings big red flags up that somebody's hiding something. So can we get it?
We have provided that several times to the Personnel Finance Committee when Commissioner Henry was the chair.
No, I'm not talking about then, I'm talking about now.
But the salaries haven't changed. That's my point.
People have.
No.
All right, well, let's shoot it one more.
We don't have new people there?
We have very few people because people come in and they leave. So the two people that are at the water plant, Denny and Doug, have 25 and 27 years. They've been there all their time.
Nobody else is there.
The person that gets hired, we've had 5 or 6 people that have come and left because they're only getting $10 an hour.
All right, that's personnel finance committee.
All right.
Okay.
Can we put it on his agenda and then have that conversation about?
Yeah, he already said he's gonna do it.
Public.
Yeah, he said he's gonna.
Water plant.
Yeah, he said he's gonna do that.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda here, we're actually not on the agenda, but we have a couple of complaints that concerns that folks wanted to talk about, and they was asked to bring it to the public safety committee meeting. What are they?
Who's saying? I had one.
Can you step to the mic?
Well, I'm letting Keisha Wright start it off.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Step to the mic and state your name and then state your
All right. Okay.
My name is Nikisha Wright. I've been around. And my issue is with the whole police department, starting with the chief all the way down to whoever else. Because when the chief will tell me on the phone when I make a complaint, he can't do nothing. When I'm telling him I fear Officer Dean, when I say I fear the man, I do. And I make a complaint, you tell me whatever he do, basically like it's okay when I had a witness. On top of that, you tell me ain't nobody above you, but y'all want me to pay taxes for this city? But y'all want me to pay for this man that sat here and said, ain't nobody above him and he can't do nothing. So I was I'm still mad, because I'm mad right now, just talking to y'all, because clearly, that's who y'all put right here, because I'm only 30, so I ain't put him right there. So I don't know how long he had that spot, I couldn't put him in that position.
You tell me what,
You know what happened to?
right?
What is your complaint?
My complaint with him?
Yeah.
Okay, so I made a complaint against Officer Sedinick about, the way he subpoenaed me for a case. The case happened on March 24th. So he subpoenaed me for it, but he wanted me to change my statement. That he came and asked, he said, what happened on this incident? I told him what happened with this incident. He basically was like, oh, well, you get up there, because you're the prosecution's witness. If you get up there and you say this, I'm going to make sure I lock you up. And all this other stuff. I was like, you gonna do what? I said, well, you gotta do what you gotta do. Because I'm not gonna get on that stand and say something different so y'all can put this other person up in prison. So, for this chief to say that he.
Oh, you made a complaint?
So I made a complaint. Yesterday I made the complaint. He called me back. He didn't call my witness, because I called somebody that same day when Officer Denny came and served. He didn't call my witness. I made the complaint, he called me, and he was like, he asked me what had happened. I told him exactly what happened. And the first thing that came out of his mouth is, Officer Denny ain't did nothing wrong if you ask me. If it was up to me, I guess I would have just locked you up too then. I said, so you can't help me. Yeah, that was the chief, the one that the bald headed man that was sitting right here. I was like, so you can't help me then. I guess I need to talk to the state police, because you can't do nothing to me for me either. Who is your boss? I don't have no boss. You don't got no boss?
That's what the problem is.
I said, oh, okay. And I hung up the phone. Ain't called me back, ain't called my witness either. So clearly, they got a tightness, a real tight circle up in there, because they sure know how to cover up and stuff.
Organized crime at its best.
Say that again.
I said it loud enough to you, they heard.
All right, go ahead.
I have a question. You said you were subpoenaed to go to court, so he just served you the paper, so the county subpoenaed you to go to court on a specific date, on the 20th?
The court day was last week, it was July.
So, but the courthouse subpoenaed you, he delivered the subpoena
Yeah.
based on the case that you had with him or against him, or?
The case wasn't with me, it was my firearm. Yeah, it was mine, but, it was, the firearm was in the car. But he subpoenaed me, he asked me about it, like, cause he's like, what happened? I told him exactly what happened. I wasn't the one who went to jail or anything of that nature. So he wanted me to basically get up there and lie on this person. I'm not gonna sit here and lie, it's mine.
So you were subpoenaed as a witness for this particular
I
incident?
was subpoenaed. I didn't even know I was gonna be subpoenaed, to be honest.
That's what I'm asking the question, because I don't know any of the background.
I understand, no, I didn't even know I was gonna be subpoenaed. The prosecution
Subpoenaed
had him subpoena me.
So,
I'm gonna go about it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
you gave a statement, right?
Turn on.
Chair, he said he's gonna put up a body cam, that this is something that no one asking him to do. This is one father, and what he's doing is something he choosing to do. I'm asking you as the chair, how can he get up? This is a case, this case is being appealed. He was a part of it, and what he's doing now, I'm asking you, Chair, will you tell the deputy chief that do deputy chief things and sit back in his
What I wanna do, what we gotta do, we need to finish here.
Right,
This
but
statement.
I understand,
Okay.
he jumped up and still, let me show you something. I'm just saying,
Before we see this. okay,
before we see this,
Before he rebut, because he is the deputy chief, okay, we need to finish.
what,
This
Yeah,
statement.
and I need to say what I do, exactly.
All right, you'll get a chance to speak, Mike, so we can get through.
I'm just walking in, I'm trying to get.
Okay.
That's all.
So, my understanding, if I'm right on the club.
It's no point of seeing the video. My question was, first off, who was over this supervisor? Who was over the chief? Because how can the chief sit here and take a complaint and then don't do nothing about a complaint? Basically just say, okay, whatever it's off to do, it is what it is.
And we're gonna get that answer shortly.
So a video don't have nothing to do with that.
So, you made a statement on
Because she asked
On
me.
the police report,
on a police report.
right, and she
You
tried-
got subpoenaed, Mike,
Okay, I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. You got subpoenaed, and you had already made a statement, right?
He asked me for the statement.
But you,
When he came to subpoena me, yeah.
but you had made a statement already?
No,
Okay. What I'm trying to get at is when did you get asked to change the statement? Because you had to
when he
make.
came to subpoena, he said, I want to ask you about what happened on the 23rd of March.
Okay. So you gave a statement then,
Yeah,
and then you're saying that he asked you, after you made a statement, he asked you to change that statement?
yeah, he was like, well, this was
Was that
right
a
here.
yes?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. All right. And then you made a complaint with the
Police department.
police department,
Yesterday.
and who did you talk to?
when I made it, what's his name? McGinnis, Chief McGinnis.
Okay. Did you make a written complaint?
Yep, I had it written. I made a copy, I had him give me a copy of it too.
Okay. And then you had a response from him?
Yeah,
And what was that response?
that he was Officer Dean, he don't see nothing wrong with what Officer Dean said, and that he's basically like he support whatever his team does, and it was on the record to not arrest me. First of all, people don't even know how he know what's on record when they just told me they ain't got no transcript yet. But anyway, let's skip all that. But then he was, after he said that, I was like, so you can't help me, who is your supervisor? Because like I said, I feel like I'm threatened by this man. Like, because right after I got from him, guess who was in front of my house? 724 Lavon. 2 Benton police. What you in front of my house for? After I talked to this man, I had 2 police officers right by my house. On each corner. I stayed like almost on the corner. There was one on each side. Like, who they waiting on me?
Hey, man, I speak. Man, I say something to you. The thing is, I understand what you're saying, but your concern today is, what do you feel that happened, and what do you feel that problem is? Because I'm her witness. When the police came by her house, she called my phone and had it on speakerphone. And what he said to me and what I heard, it was that she was a witness. And the officer came to her house, basically said to her, if you say it wouldn't be good for you, so what do you call that to a witness? Intimidating a witness, right? That's what I thought. So I'm a witness that heard what the officer said to her. But see, once I get my turn to speak solo by myself, I could fill in the blanks because you mean just keep talking?
Well, this is your turn to speak.
Okay, right. Okay, it started with myself. I called Chief Mingo. Got me thinking about this crook. It's another crook I'm talking about. Anyway, I called McGinnis. I called him because I know the process. Been coming down here for years. And I said, and I got from you, Commissioner, what I did is I called before it got across the bridge. Once you get across the bridge, it's over. And we all know this. So I called him. I go, Chief, let me explain to you what happened. He said, I already know, Mike, what you're talking about. I said, you know what I'm talking about. First time speaking to him. And he's talking about concerning D-Net. And this is what my issue was. The issue was D-Net was, he said, it's in the police report. That's why I'm stuck. It's in the police report that he saw my cousin Ricky Williams get out of the truck, go inside East May Market gas station, and he witnessed him going in. Okay, cool. He said when he saw Ricky get out, he pulled up behind the truck Ricky was driving, and he noticed the car was still running. Okay. He said he proceeded to get out his police car and reach through the window, his arm through the window, and cut the car off, and so happened he see a gun. And he said he saw a gun on the seat. And okay, my cousin, it's in the police report, he comes out of the gas station store and went back same gun he found, he put that gun on my cousin coming out of the gas station. And how did we know that gun wasn't faulty? How did we know that gun trigger wasn't not a trigger? It could have been anything. But he put that gun out on my cousin. He told him to get down, and long story short, I'm gonna pass through that. Okay, he went to jail. And the next day, it was on that Sunday morning when that happened. Monday morning, I called the chief, and he knew what I was talking about. And I said this to him. I asked the chief, 445 Colfax, Benton is where I live at. I pay taxes too. I pay, you don't have a boss, I'm his boss. I pay my taxes. My point I'm making to you is that he tells me, well, Mike, well, his words, I said, and I'm sorry, I'm breaking in and out because I subpoena, he was subpoenaed to come to court, the chief was, because what he said to me, I want him to say what he said to me on the stand. Of course he didn't come. Subpoena, he's the chief. He just takes subpoenas and throw them in the trash can. He untouchable, right? He don't have a boss, right? I understand. He don't have a boss. So he do what he's want. And so after that, when he did call me back, I had called him 3 times. He called me back and he said, well, Mike, I know what you're talking about. And I didn't know the whole story because McGinnis told me the story. He said, Dinget stuck his hand, well, that's what he said. I'm saying Dinget broke into my cousin's car without a warrant, took the keys out and say he saw a gun. But after that, okay, I said, okay. But what did he do wrong, Chief? He said, yeah. Just like that, yeah. I understand what you're getting at, because my point is, I was getting into the charge. I'm not talking about the gun. The charge should have been through the king, because what he did, he broke the law first. So that's what I was talking to him about. Don't let this law-breaking officer and you, basically, if you let this go across the bridge, you at fault too. So do you agree with what Dinget did? And he was like, well, we'll talk, Mike. I'm going to handle this. I called the man 20 or 30 times. Mm-hmm. He's in a meeting. He's not available. He's drinking. He's feeding his kids. He's doing whatever that they want to make up. Never spoke to him. I think that's my first time seeing him sing at the table when I came in. First time in probably over a month. So my thing is about that is she concerned because she feels threatened by Dinget. She feels like I know it was because I heard what he said, and she went to the police station like she's supposed to. She made a written complaint against the officer. She gave it to the person at the window, and 5 minutes later, she makes it home. The chief again is calling her, saying, well, I ain't gonna say what he said to you, because I wasn't there. And what he said to you, no, listen, he said, what?
That he supported everything that Officer Dinget did and said.
And not only that, the report is dead. So I'm saying to you, city manager, I thought you were his boss too. Right?
I am, and this is the first. Yeah, this is the first I'm hearing about it.
Exactly.
If the young lady filed a complaint yesterday,
right.
Okay, what I'm saying is that we need to get everybody in the room and find out what we're actually talking about.
How can the guy say it's over? the real boss, McGinnis is over. So I'm asking the committee, I'm asking you, city manager.
It's not,
Okay, it's not over, okay.
if there's a complaint, then it's not over.
Okay.
So like I said, I just need to, I
Okay.
need to get with
That's
him
all I need.
or deputy clerk.
You
And we'll get the-
information with the clerk, so
Yeah.
that she has your name, your information, and stuff.
So that I can see what we're talking about, get the information from the complaint, get her contact information, and then make contact with her.
Because that, when you file a complaint with, and that's what we talked about, I think,
Yep.
committee, that you go there and eventually it gets to.
Supposed to. Supposed to.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
That process needs to happen, and then we.
Absolutely.
Chair, I would like to see it go one more step. When it leaves the city manager's hand, come back to the body, your committee, who's over person,
Right,
public safety. Please.
exactly.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yep.
We will get,
Thank you.
we'll get the report to you.
Young lady,
I'm gonna come back.
had your hands up.
Oh, me.
Yeah, did you had
Yeah.
a statement to make?
Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Gwen Swanigan, and I'm with the Sharp Foundation, Benton Harbor, Michigan. I'm a community activist, community advocate. I want to say that I was they called me about this case. Okay, they called me about this case, and I actually sat in the trial for 2 days. In this case, they did mention to me about everything that they just said. They talked to me to let me know what Officer Dinick did, allegedly did, and also in the trial, it was disheartening to me. It was very sad because of all of the different stories that was told on the stand by the police officers. Also the inappropriate behavior by the judge by not allowing the young man to even change attorneys. And not at that time, but before, he tried to change attorneys a while ago, and the judge would not let him change it. By right, that's his right to change attorneys. If he wants to change his attorney, he can do that. He was trying to get a public defender. He had someone else outside of the Barron County that wasn't doing the job. So therefore, the young man did not get the due diligence that he was supposed to get. He didn't get the right defense he was supposed to get because the attorney really didn't know anything about the case like he should, okay? So this young man cried out to the judge way before the trial date to change his attorney, and the judge said no. Pasula.
It don't make no difference, any of them.
Yeah, she said no, and then he even said it in the court that day that he tried to do it, and she tried to backpedal and say, oh, I didn't know, but at this point the jury's been waiting for this long or whatever. She saw the disconnect between the two, the attorney and the client, that there was no communication there, and she still denied his right to change attorneys. He had an attorney on standby over in Barron County ready to come over, and she would not allow him to come over. Okay, so again, I sat there and I heard some of the statements and people, the officers changing their statements on the stand. It just wasn't making sense. It just wasn't making sense. It was just really blatantly lying, you know. And Officer Dinick, how can he get away with threatening this young lady not to come after she is subpoenaed to come, and you telling her don't come? Okay, you're an officer of the court. All right, you're the officer. You know, you're an officer of the law.
Excuse me, you said she was told not to answer a subpoena.
Yeah, isn't that what you said?
He told me if I get on stand and say that, but when I went there, they took me off of the court, but by me having this opinion, you want to not make me get on that stand. They try to take me completely off of the case once I had my story to go up there and tell the truth. They didn't want me on that stand no more. That's when they was like, oh, Miss Wright, your name ain't on here no more. I said, no, y'all gave me this opinion.
No, when he came to your house.
So when he came to my house, he just was like, if you get on this thing, I'm gonna make sure
Okay.
you go to jail. Basically.
That's a threat.
Right.
That's a threat. That's a threat from the office of law that has been sworn in to protect and serve. Okay? And that should be unacceptable. That should be unacceptable. Okay? Also, if the chief was subpoenaed, why didn't he show up? He was called, he never answered the call. Why didn't he show up as a witness? He's the chief of the police. Okay? And he was subpoenaed to come. Another thing is Officer Dina did not have his body cam on, and he didn't turn his body cam on until later on when he interviewed this young man. Now, if I'm not mistaken, aren't they supposed to have their body cams on as soon as they stop, make that stop? Make contact. Am I correct? Am I wrong? Their body cams are supposed to be on as soon as you're called to the scene. You said you called them to the scene. And whatever calls someone to the scene, when they came, they don't know what they were coming up on. So why didn't he turn on his body cam at that time? Why did he wait until later on to turn his body cam on once he wanted to, when he wanted to hear whatever he wanted people to hear? Okay? The body cams, that's what they're for everybody's protection, his and the other person's. So why didn't he have that on? Because it could have went any kind of way.
It was all done.
Yeah, it would have saw everything. And then he reached into the car.
It was all that.
Hold on. He reached, let me speak.
Okay.
He reached into the car and turned off the car. Now, if the gun was on the seat, why would you even wait to turn the car off? If you see a gun, you're gonna respond right then and there. You're not worried about turning off no car. You just gonna see the gun, and the next thing you know, then you had one officer said that he was questioning the other passenger, and the other officer said he don't know what the other officer was doing. It was just a whole lot of craziness in that courtroom, and just a lot of different stories coming about. So my thing is this. Oh, another thing. There's a picture that I have that's circulating that Officer Dina holding up some type of award. I don't know if he was in police department at that time. Well, probably was, because he's been on the force for 18 years. So he was holding up, but he was also holding up a sign, white supremacy sign.
Where?
Okay? Seemingly a gang sign of white supremacy when he was holding up this actual award. Okay? So this cop this police officer is supposed to protect and serve, but seemingly he's holding up this white supremacy sign. I just received all of this, so I'm just bringing it to the table to this meeting, because I feel like a resolution should be put forth by the city as far as these body cams, because it's happening too much. As far as the body cams being on, they need to be on as soon as they stop. Make this stop. If not, some of these cases need to be thrown out, because this case should have been thrown out because it was just a setup. It was a setup. Blatantly setup.
What was the outcome of the case?
He convicted of all 3 charges.
Wait, ma'am, were you telling the charges he was convicted of?
I don't know. I don't have the police report in it, but he was 3 charges that he was convicted. And all of them was felony charges, gun charges. One, he knew the gun was in the car, and the other one was.
I can speak up. And the charges, and this right here gonna upset you, Chair. Former chief of police. He got charged with 3 charges. First of all, at the beginning of my story, I said he went inside the gas station, right? Okay, he went inside the gas station, and he was charged with having concealed weapon on him. On him.
It was not.
That was, okay, number one, the gun they said it was in the car, but that was one charge. The second charge was he being a felon around a gun, but once again, he was in the gas station. The third charge was a possession of, not possession of the gun, basically concealing a gun They say first of all, they said the gun was in the front seat. That's in the police report. But Officer Deegan in the police report testified to that there was why he went for the third charge was the gun was basically hidden. So that was the third charge. Basically concealing the gun. So how can he get charged with those 3 charges? And when he himself was in a gas station, and he got found guilty for all 3 charges. And that's why I was saying to the chief, don't let this get across the bridge. You know what they do. And he said, Michael, I handle this. I'll call you back. You haven't heard from him. You haven't heard from him.
So again, I would just like to say, I think that one of the main things that needs to happen is, I want to propose for you all to pass a resolution that, because that's what the body cams are for. You know what I mean? That's what you got them for. That's what they're for, is to protect the citizens and protect the police officers. You know, to make sure that everything is, you know, being seen of what's going on. But for you to not turn that body cam on until after you're ready. Oh, and then another thing, when he finally did turn on the body cam, some of the audio was not on. They didn't even show, they blocked off the audio on part of it until they put on the audio what they wanted people to hear. Okay, they didn't put on the whole audio because he was saying some things that he probably shouldn't have been saying too. So that's my thing. So I just want to bring that to the, you know, the body, as far as some things being changed, because it's going on too much. It's been going on too much and for too long. And this city, this has been Harbor, we're too small for this, and things just have to change. They have to change. They have to change. It's within our city. They have to change within our body. They have to change within our police department. And we have to have the citizens' best interests at heart.
All right, thank you. Now, what we'll do, because the next step, because it's not over, it said that, you know, if you got that from the chief, the manager said, the next step is to the manager. He's gonna report what his findings is to this committee. Now, I think who's supposed to meet with him is people making the complaint. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll be meeting with them. And I guess if you want to bring somebody else.
My witness have to come too, Mike?
Yeah, bring you whatever evidence that you have to help.
And I'll be there with them.
Okay, and then we'll move from there.
Okay.
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 Thank you. All right. State your name and let me know where you are, but just for the record.
My name is James Jackson, I've been arguing. I'm coming to y'all today because I was working the summer job at a G Clark Park. And I was recently fired from out of there, all because I went to a family reunion for the 4th of July week. I already had requested to take off, you know, for those days. When we did our orientation, Lisa stated that can't nobody take off for the 4th of July if you are, or any holiday if you're scheduled to work. Now, she also said before she ended that conversation, she said, now if you do put in a request for a holiday off or whatever, that you had to put it in before someone else did. Everybody can't do it at once. I put in my request to take off for these days weeks and months. When I first got the position in her office, I stated that my family reunion was coming up in this time. I text the supervisor, which is Tamiko Brock, and told her and asked her, hey, can I schedule for these days off? You know, I already let Lisa know, she, you know, and stuff like that. She said, well, in the text message, she stated, well, I will consider that when I do the schedule. So when I got the schedule, every day that I requested off, I had to work. but the days around it, I didn't have to work. So I asked her in a text message nicely, I said, you knew I had to work, why did you schedule me for these days? Well, what she said? She said, well, something about she forgot, but you can't take off anyways because we told you guys, if you take off on holidays, we have to let you guys go. So I came in, I talked to Tracy McIntosh, she's down in the city clerk's office, and she was like, well, I emailed Lisa and stuff like that, because I told her what happened and stuff going on. Then I get home, you know, a couple of days after I told her before I was taking my vacation or whatever, I seen Darwin the last day that I worked it out at the beach. And Darwin, I had talked to him, and he said, I told him about how they said they're gonna fire me if I take off, whatever. Long story short, Darwin stated that, no, that won't happen. We will make sure that we get this right, whatever. He pulls off. Now, the guy that was working with me stood right there because he was just coming from the restroom, and he stood right there and asked him. I guess him and Darwin, whatever, know each other, but whatever. Anyway, I told Darwin, you know, after they fired me and stuff, that was, you know, what was going on. He stated on the phone, which I had recorded, I don't need no snitches. I didn't ask you to be a snitch. I don't need you to be a spokesman for nobody. I don't need you to do nothing. I don't need you to come to me with none of this stuff. You know what they told you. I said, but you know what you told me. And she knows what she told me, you know. And it's just a whole lot of other stuff just going on, pretty much. And the way when I asked Tamiko, why did she come into the office until Tracy, that I just did a no-show or no-call, no-show, however you say that, she gonna say, well, I didn't say that. Stop texting my phone. Don't call me. Don't do nothing. Leave me alone.
She's the supervisor. She's the supervisor.
Yeah. And now, I never had a problem with her like that, other than the fact that how she don't do her job. I have made several complaints, period. Not only that, everybody that's been working out there have told me, and I don't know if they're scared to come forward, but I know 2 of them that's not, and they asked me to speak on their behalf, and that's what I did. You know, when I called Darwin, that's why he said, you don't need no spokesman or no snitches and all this type of stuff like that, you know. And they said they're willing to come forward if y'all want to hear it. We call her, ask her for change. We call her and ask her for anything. She barely even answers the phone. And when she do answer the phone, she says she's cooking or in a meeting or at the city hall. And then when she says she's coming, she never comes. Just like, not only that, she accused me, and I got it in a text message, and I got everything right here. She accused me of so many different things that I didn't even do or don't even know what happened. Like, she accused me of signing in on people's codes to log them in when they're not there. She accused me of logging her in and out when she's not there. You know, it's all types. I don't even have these people's passwords, you know. So I asked her, I said, well, how are you just going to pinpoint me out of everybody and say that I'm doing it? She gonna say, well, you was the only one there. So I guess I just got your password and I'm just logging you in and out. Another thing is, from working at several different jobs and being, I used to be a supervisor for the job I was working for, but how could a supervisor make their own schedules if you have a boss ahead of you, which is meaning Darwin or Lisa, whoever? How could she make her own schedule? She makes her own schedule convenient to her time and when the times she want off, and all her friends that's working at the 3 females, which I know they friends, you know, because we already talk, and they be talking too much when they be around me, and they can talk freely, you know. But long story short, she scheduled her all days. She scheduled everybody on nights and days that they have to do things. If you got a second job, she would schedule you around the times that you have to work your other job, pretty much trying to force you out of there. That's how I look at it. And then she stated, when I told her that I was gonna come to the city hall and tell her and on her and tell the commission board and Darwin and everything like that. She specifically said, well, I'm not threatened by this. You can do what you want to do. Ain't nothing gonna happen pretty much. So I think something needs to be done by her and the man that just magically disappeared about it.
Who is that?
Darwin Watson, the city manager.
All right, you said there were some people that told you to speak for them, but they said they were willing to come speak.
Yep. Oh, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut you off. And also, she sits in there and she runs people's background and their names through a system. Like she pays like $1 for on them sites where you can type in someone's name and run a background. And she runs their background for no reason. That's not your job. Darwin stated on the phone, well, we run backgrounds on you. We know the city when you get a job that you run background. But that's not her job to run the background. What is you running the background for? And what makes it so bad, the guys that she was running their names was already fired. His girlfriend just so happened to come in on her shift and it was left up on the tablet. And Tamiko was the last one working the shift before by herself.
What you saying she wanted the girlfriend to see this guy's background?
I don't know what she wanted to do. I don't know what her intentions was, but the girlfriend called me and texted me and asked who do I supposed to talk to, or who can she come forward to, or whatever. Can she set a meeting, or can y'all contact her or whatever? I told her, I said I would check with her, and everything like that, so you guys can contact her, and I also gave her you guys' number.
Well, this is definitely, to me, sound like something that, need to be looked at. This is a personnel issue and everybody have right.
I feel like it's
right
favoritism because that's his sister, his fiance's sister-in-law. His sister, I'm sorry, his fiance sister. And that's exactly why he ain't doing nothing about what's been going on, or ain't nobody that investigated or even pulled her to her side and addressed the problems that we have. And then for him to say that not to be a spokesman, how you gonna say I can't be a spokesman for somebody? If I want to tell something that's going wrong, then that's my job. That's my right to.
All right. Could you ask those people that said that they wanted to speak or wanted you to speak for them, and they said they would come speak next Wednesday? Commissioner Isom, this is personnel matter. Could you set that up for your agenda too?
Oh, and one last thing, I'm sorry, I just read looked at the text message. Another thing that she does out there, now I've heard this from 3 different people. 2 of them are gone, and all 3 are gone now. But she was working with one of the guys, and she would basically put in a system because y'all charge $35 for non-residents that are, not living in the city limits or whatever, and it's $25 for veterans and seniors and residents. She would put in a system $25 but charge them $35 and pocket the 10 and say it is a tip.
J. by far.
That's cool.
One thing, Mr. Jackson, even with that, I would have probably told that before I got fired, because now it looked like you.
No, that's a good time, brother.
I'm glad that you're saying that, but that kind of stuff,
Well, I already been putting in complaints and saying stuff to folks. Just like Commissioner Adams, I seen her one day. She came through, and I couldn't catch her to let her know, but I called her, and she told me to contact Commissioner Singleton and go and tell the supervisor, which Tracy wasn't in her. No, Lisa wasn't in her office, not you, but she wasn't in her office. So they told us to go down to talk to Tracy. And that's what I did. And she sent Lisa a message and stuff like that about everything that I've been telling her. Like I told the other people, I don't too much say nothing when I come here, even on the committees. I say bits and pieces of certain things, but when stuff like this is happening, and I'm already having a hard time of, making a living as it is. That's why I picked up this little part-time job or whatever, but I'm not really mad about the fact of losing it, because I can always get another one. But it's the principle of the situation. And for $9.45 an hour, I definitely ain't gonna lose no sleep.
Next Wednesday is the Personnel Finance Committee meeting. Could you have those people that are willing to?
Oh, yeah.
Express their-
And I call them and tell them, and I even leave y'all their numbers if you want to, and you can call them and tell them.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Henry.
Thank you, Chair. That's one thing about when something starts wrong, it ends wrong. Never changes. So the hiring practices of Gene Clark Park has been notorious for years. The same people get hired every year. The same people hire them every year. So back in the day when we said they was stealing money, they was carrying that money out, pocketbook full. That kind of put a check and balance to it a little bit. But they can always, if there's a little hole, them people will catch it and grab that money. When you got cash, you better have a solid way to balance that out. Otherwise, they're gonna steal a penny out of every dollar and go home with $10 at the end of the day. So this stuff started a long time ago, and it's not working. So, Commissioner Isom, it's on you again. And we really do need to check this kind of stuff. There's some checks and balances, and people should not just be getting away with little steals and little things. It's just, shouldn't do that. And I personally, everybody knows that Gene Clark Park is one of my babies. I personally believe that nobody works at Gene Clark Park but Benton Harbor residents. We pay for it, we take care of it, it's our park. Why are we hiring all these other people? Why would we hire a staff member child when there's Willie Bobo over there on the next corner need a job more than staff members? This is crooked, and it's been crooked for a long time. Let's fix it.
I have a question,
Go ahead.
real quick, Ms. Osler, is this collection under your, I know it's under Parks and Recs, do you, collect for, do they turn that money into you, or is the accounting done to you guys?
It goes to the water department, the finance
Go
department.
right to the finance, yeah. So there's not an electronic, there's the, I guess, Mr. Watson, yeah, that's.
Well, it's tickets and stuff they have to be accountable for. It's tickets and the tickets have to match. The tickets and the money have to match. And you got the passes and all that stuff.
You can make it match.
Yeah.
Charge 35.
Yeah,
I
I
don't-
don't know that process.
There's a camera out there right now.
Define the process.
It is a camera out there.
Yeah.
Has anybody been caught doing anything?
Actually, we just submitted warrants for one of the former employees this
Hey,
week.
can we all talk at once, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Say it again.
There was warrants done on somebody for embezzlement this week that was
It's
working
out
out
there
there.
now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not anymore,
Not
but
anymore, but.
yeah,
How long, when the last time that person worked?
over the 4th of July weekend. It was caught over the weekend. We started the investigation Monday, and everything went up to the courthouse yesterday afternoon.
It's a woman.
Was it in the newspaper?
No, it just went to the courthouse. It hasn't gone public record yet.
Okay.
All right, we'll bring that to personnel finance to do further investigation on that. Okay. With that, this meeting is adjourned.